वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. Salutations, O Lord Ganesha, who has curved trunks, large body, splendorous like million suns put together. O Deva, O Ganesha, free me of all my obstacles. Extend your blessings always, that all obstacles are removed. We begin this auspicious day with the prayer of Lord Ganesha. Wish you all a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi, Vinayaka Chaturthi. We in our country celebrate many festivals, and we are the nation of festivals and celebrations. So today, on this auspicious occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi, may we all worship Ganesha and understand the presence, the existence of divine Ganesha. Ganesha is the first deity who is worshipped. He is Ganesha, Lord Ganesha is the obstacle remover, the Vigna Harata, who removes all obstacles. Ganesha is a god of wisdom and success. So he is also called as Buddhi Pradhayaka, who grants intelligence. Gana means mass of people, and Isha means the Lord, the creator, the God. So Ganesha, the Lord of masses. And I'll take you to the ancient Ganesha Purana, and in Ganesha Purana there is one khanda called the Upasana Khanda. So there two modes of worships of Ganesha has been prescribed, and the first mode is in the Nirguna Rupa, and Nirguna Rupa is contemplation of Ganesha in the eternal, metaphysical, absolute, eternal form, Nirguna, the Supreme Spirit, who the formlessness of the beginning, the origin of the origin. And the second approach of Ganesha is to look at him in all the forms that you can see, various forms, sometimes dancing Ganesha, sitting Ganesha, and the form of Ganesha, that is the Saguna Murti, decorating him and worshipping him with flowers or offerings, or remembering him by fasting or by various forms of pujas. But both ways, Ganesha is the beginning of the beginning, the obstacle remover, the absolute unchanging form of the divinity. And in our ancient scriptures, Suta Goswami narrates, he says, among 18 Puranas, he says, I'm going to recite the first, at the beginning, the Ganesha Purana, and he says, which has rarely been heard by the world, by the mortal world. And by simply hearing the Ganesha Purana, one's desires are fulfilled, one's karmas are exhausted. Ganesha is eternal as per the Ganesha Purana, and who has no beginning or no end, and he is described in his real appearance as the beginning of the beginning. Those who are devoted to him or who worship him, they have various forms of worship him. So he appears as Ekadanta. Vakratunda means the curved trunk. Ekadanta means with one tusk. And in whichever way we worship him or see him or visualize him, he is fully transcendental. And Ganesha is best seen as a sacred form of Om. The syllabi Om is being written in all languages, and it's described more as Om itself, Ganesha, at the first syllabi, first word in our Vedas. And I'll just narrate a small story of Ganesha, where Kubera, the Lord Kubera, the wealthiest deva in the universe, he invited, he is the wealthiest entity, and he became, he started to swell in pride because of all that wealth he had accumulated. So one day he invited Shiva, Lord Shiva and Parvati to his place for dinner. And Lord Shiva and Parvati realized that, and they didn't go. Instead of that, they sent their son, Lord Ganesha. And while Ganesha was going for the dinner, as per the command of his parents, Ganesha realized the pride of Kubera. So he wanted to teach him a lesson and wanted to bless him actually, so that he's grounded with what he has. So he goes and he was thinking, what lesson should he take? The best form of greed is hunger, because hunger has no bound. Hunger never subsides. You eat one meal, you feel hungry after some time, and then more than that, hunger has no bound, because you can go on tasting everything everything is being served. So Ganesha thought he will express the hunger form as greed when he goes there. So when he goes there, lots of guests are invited, and so many varieties of foods have been cooked and being served in well decorated golden and silver plates. And Ganesha was the first one to be invited, so Ganesha sits there and he begins to eat the food. And while he's eating, he goes on eating, consuming food, and all that is served he consumes. He asks for more food. More food is served, and it goes on and on and on, and Ganesha just consumes all that has been cooked for all the guests. And Kubera is taken by surprise that what is wrong? He eats everything. No food was left for the guests. And Kubera is, embarrassed. But then Ganesha is not yet finished. And Ganesha says, I'm still hungry. Feed me more. Feed me more. And then the ministers of Kubera, they go and then they bring all that uncooked food. And all that uncooked food is also eaten by Ganesha. Still Ganesha says, no, my food is not I'm not, I don't feel that I've filled my hunger. I'm still hungry. So I need to be, give me more food, give me more food. Ultimately, the entire storehouse of their grains, food grains, everything is exhausted. No food left. But Ganesha is still asking for food, and he still says, I'm hungry. So in that hunger pang, he goes on eating the very plate that has been served to eat food. So he eats the golden plate, the silver plates, and all the utensils, and then he goes on to eat all that he has. He eats all that gold. Ganesha goes on eating all that gold and silver that Kubera has accumulated, which he exhibits as pride that he has accumulated. And ultimately everything he consumes, and he says, I'm still hungry. He says, I'm so hungry that now, Kubera, you invited me for dinner, and you're responsible to subside my hunger, so I'm going to eat you up. And Kubera is so frightened, and he runs to Lord Shiva, because he knows that only Lord Shiva will protect him. So he goes to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva calms Ganesha's hunger by offering him a small bowl of cereals, anna or rice, and very lovingly he gives that bowl of rice to his son. Son eats that bowl of rice, and then he subsides his hunger. He is satisfied now. So Kubera learnt the lesson that he should never have gathered the wealth and the gold and the silver and all that he has gathered out of greed. And Ganesha, he learns this lesson that all that he has accumulated is due to, he wanted, the very purpose of hosting that dinner was to exhibit the wealth he had, which was wrong, and that was unethical and immoral. So he bowed to Ganesha, and he agreed to distribute all that wealth he has, or he will further accumulate, amongst everyone who is in need. Henceforth, Kubera became the god of wealth, because he's learned to distribute. So that begins with greed, to hold on, to possess, and not to give, share with others. How lovely is this story. And I'm taking you again to another aspect of Lord Ganesha with sage Vyasa. Sage Vyasa wrote all the scriptures, and he's the author of Mahabharata, Puranas, and various other scriptures, including Vedas. So as per the divine order, Vyasa wanted to compose Mahabharata. And he needed a very intelligent person to write down the Mahabharata. He goes to Brahma for asking for guidance. And Brahma, Lord Brahma, advises him to seek Ganesha's help. And Ganesha would be the best person to write it down. When he approaches Ganesha, Ganesha is not too happy with Vyasa's request that he would dictate and I would be writing. So Ganesha puts a condition. He says, my condition is that while you are narrating, you should not take a pause, and I will write continuously. So my pen would be non-stop, and as my pen goes non-stop, you need to dictate me non-stop. So Vyasa is at loss, and Vyasa, sage Vyasa thinks, how should I do it? So quickly Vyasa comes up with an idea. He says, okay, I will narrate non-stop, but you have to write, understanding the meaning of it. So if Ganesha takes a moment to understand the verse and then writes it down, by then Vyasa would have time to compose the next verse. So Vyasa goes on with composing some tough and some simple verses, and Ganesha begins to write all that has been told by sage Vyasa. And in that process, Ganesha is thinking, understanding, and he's writing, and in that process, in between, Ganesha's pen broke. And Ganesha he knows that this was a condition put, so he couldn't take a break. So he very quickly breaks one of his, as promised, he broke his tusk, and he starts to write down again. So because he broke his tusk, he's called Ekadanta. He has one full tusk and one small broken tusk called Ekadanta. The symbology of Ekadanta that we see is that single tusk signifies one truth. It signifies non-duality. It signifies to let us, it signifies that we should move from duality into non-duality. The dual world is somewhere imperfect and ever-changing. So the Ekadanta signifies the supreme perfection of oneness, that we understand the true nature of oneness, because unless we understand and we live that oneness, moksha is impossible. So the moral to finish this, Ekadanta, when he broke his tusk, was, the moral is that whatever we begin with total commitment towards that work we have undertaken, we have to finish it. So that's another moral that we learn from Ekadanta. And there are innumerable stories. Once, while Ganesha was small child, he was playing with a cat, and while he was amused with the presence of the cat, so he held the tail, he pulled through, and then he squeezed the cat, and topsy-turvy. The cat was in pain, but Ganesha as a child didn't realize it, and ultimately he let the cat go when he felt hungry, and he goes back to the mother for food, and there he realizes Ma Parvati is in pain, and she has swollen eyes and swollen body, and she's in pain. So he's surprised. He says, Ma, who hurt you like this? Tell me. I'll go and punish that person who hurt you like this. Ma smiles, and Ma Parvati says, child, I was a cat who was playing with you, and you hurt me so much while playing. Even innocently, you should never hurt. So that's the time Ganesha took the oath to treat all animals in a gentle way, in affection and care. Let's move on into Ganesha's trunk. Ganesha's trunk symbolizes wise being, the ability to be strong as well as skilled, and his large ears that represents patience to listen, and to listen to the prayers and answer patience, basically. And the reason why Ganesha rides on the rat is because Ganesha rat, because rat represents the greed. Earlier he went to Kubera and he taught him a lesson of greed, and here the rat represents greed, because rat doesn't eat just for appetite. Rat goes on munching, eating. It spoils everything. The whole go down of the grains can be eaten by the rats, It's not that they eat, but they chew everything and they munch everything and they spoil. So that's basically the human quality of greed, that, to hold everything, to possess everything, to control everything. So Ganesha sat upon the mouse, representing to control the greed, because greed ultimately corrupts the mind. So the rat represents, we control the greed, rather the greed controls us through the human mind. Ganesha's small eyes symbolizes concentration. When you concentrate on something, what do? You squeeze your eyes. So that represents deep concentration. Ganesha's eyes also teach us to concentrate through our mind and control our mind and achieve success. Not to be broken into different parts, rather to concentrate, not to be scattered, but to be concentrated. So we all together celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi happily and joyously. While celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi, what are we going to do? We might fast and we might make so many things, and offer to Lord Ganesha modaka and laddus and payasas and everything we can offer to Ganesha. We can fast, we can go to temples, we can do puja, archana. But what is that which means the true puja, the true worship of Ganesha? Ganesha doesn't need all that we offer to him. Ganesha wants us to be realized beings and attain moksha. So in that process, we need to let go something and to become purer day by day. And what is that we can collectively think of as vrata, as a fast, and abandon that? Let us collectively think of abandoning, leaving, disconnecting ourselves from greed, the way Kubera did, the way Ganesha symbolizes sitting upon the rat. So that would be the true prayer, true puja, true offering to Lord Ganesha. So let us leave the greed, disconnect ourselves with the greed, and whatever we possess, let us offer to everyone, share it with everyone. Never hold anything in greed, in hunger, unsatiable hunger. So I think that would be the best offering to Lord Ganesha. Along with delicious modakas and laddus, we can offer our greed, O Lord. We offer our greeds that we possess and we reject. Sometimes that we're saying we don't have. So we possess, whatever greed we possess, we offer all that to you, Holy Ganesha. Consume it, because you have that appetite to consume everything that I'm not able to shed off. Take that greed away from me and bless me, O Lord Ganesha. On this auspicious Ganesh Chaturthi, we all collectively worship the elephant-faced Ganesha. O Vinayaka, we worship you day and night. You are splendorous like sun, and you look so beautiful with your elephant face, like a lotus face of Mother Parvati. O giver of many boons, O single-tusked ones, we salute you. O Ganesha, we salute you. Gajananam Padmarkam, Gajananam Aharnisham, Anekadantam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. So let us do the upasana of Ganesha with this prayer. Ganesha, consume all those impurities we have in us, and especially consume the greed that we in the human form still have. With that, I bless you all. Celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi in a splendorous way. May your lives be enlightened, blessed. May Ganesha remove all your obstacles.